We're going to wait another minute or two as we get some people jumping on, and then we'll get started. All right, I'm a coach. It's 8 p.m., so we'll get started. If you can't hear me or you have a question, you can jump in on the chat or the Q&A at the bottom and type in your answer. Just let me know if there is any issues with hearing me. But as we go to, if you have any questions that pop up, feel free to type them in the chat. I will stick around and answer questions at the end, and try to get any personal questions answered. And if there is anything uh, privately that you want to ask me, feel free to send me an email or my phone number's here. I'm happy to ask. But again, I'm Dan Rothert. I run Top Student Athlete Recruiting. It's a small, personalized recruiting agency helping kids that want to play college soccer and college coaches connect. I was a college coach for 24 years. Mostly at the Division III level. I live in Dubuque. I'm a coach for Iowa ODP and have mostly coached on the east side, but I've done some work with most age groups, so I know most of the names that are jumping on here. Had a lot of success at Loras College, and about 6 years ago, I left Loras to start this. So right around the pandemic, um, which has been crazy timing because the rules of the game and recruiting have changed a ton in the last 5 years, and it's not the same. My whole career is always similar, and now it's changed a ton. So there's an old picture, but one of my favorites. But again, had a lot of success coaching at the college level. And I also actually was also associate athletic director where I oversaw recruiting for the whole athletic department. Um, and but let's get into the recruiting thing and we'll talk about it. And if there are questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A or the chat at the bottom. But this is not a 4-year decision. They say it's a 40-year decision, right? It should be the best 4 years of your life, but you should get everything out of college you desire and more if you want to go to college and play. And the more engaged and the more you dive into college, the more things you're involved in, the more opportunities you're going to have. You're going to find things that you like to do that maybe you never knew about. You're going to meet people that can help connect you. So dive into college, graduate, and be on the career path you desire, and then find a college soccer program, that will help maximize your potential as both a student and an athlete. Have a coaching staff that cares for you and looks after you, and teammates that are like-minded and are going to help you get there, and become teammates and friends for the rest of your life. That's a big part of this too. But there's new rules to the recruiting game. In the last few years, things have changed completely. And there's good things and bad things to it. They're good for some perspectives and bad from other perspectives. But you've heard of the transfer portal. Um, about 3,000 players a year, men's and women's, so that's 6,000 total. They're in the transfer portal. They're leaving one college to go to another college or trying to play at the next level. And people are trying to move up most of the time. They're trying to go from, maybe a lower level Division I to a higher level Division I, or maybe they're going from a Division III school to a Division II. I heard a story yesterday. I ref college soccer currently, and I was refing a game, and the coach told me he had a player that went from a pretty average Division III school, was really good. He had a really good personal year. He transferred to a Division II team, won a national championship, and now he's at a Division I team ranked in the top 10 of the country so the transfer portal is real. But it opens a revolving door. It means as one kid leaves one place, it opens the door for someone else somewhere, at a different place. So it has made things harder though for 18-year-old college freshmen to play right away. Like that's the reality of it. There's roster caps at Division I. Teams can only have 28 players now. There was no roster cap before, and some teams carried as many as 40 players. So that's limited some chances. That's probably a good thing because no one's playing 40 players. So we had a lot of people sitting on benches, but Kids that might have made Division I rosters years ago are now playing at some lower level places. There's disparities in scholarships. Not every school gives scholarships. Division III does not give scholarships. Division II can give up to 10 scholarships. And I say up to 10 because it means um, each school can choose how much they want to give. It doesn't mean they have to give 10, but they can give up to 10. Um, Division I just changed their scholarshiping. They can give up to 28, which is the full roster, but there aren't that many schools doing that. There's still, I know some schools. I know one school that gives one scholarship. Now, they don't just give it to the one player. They basically buy every kid on their team books, and it's a state school, so the price starts at a pretty good point. But there's a big difference between a school that's given 28 full scholarships and one that's given one. Um, there's an increased reliance on international players, especially on the boys' side. You find rosters that are almost all international players. Like one of the teams I refereed yesterday was all international guys, so they didn't have any, and that's even at a Division III school. They only had uh, guys from Portugal and England on their team. NAL money, name, image, likeness money. You've heard some of that stuff going on. It's not really a big issue in soccer, but there are some programs at the highest level of Division I that might be able to give a player some money. But that's really not a non-issue on the soccer side of things. All right, but what is an issue is Division I, especially, or being able to afford soccer, right? If they're giving all these players millions of dollars to play football and basketball, um, how much money do they have left for a soccer program to run the soccer program? Soccer isn't Division I basketball and isn't Division I football where it's money making. Um, it's they're living off the money that soccer's living off the money football and basketball are making. So there's some issues there, and that might change the future of Division I. There's rumors that Division I might break away and become a minor league of sorts, and still be associated with colleges, but not be part of the NCAA. That would be really strange, but might be something that goes down. There's talks of that happening. So we'll see what happens. A lot changing. I think this one's going to happen too. Everyone's going to get in college a fifth year of eligibility, which makes it just harder to get on a team because if a college player gets 5 years of eligibility, high school kids only get four, then when you go to college, there's less roster spots for incoming freshmen. So lots of new rules, lots of things happening all the time. I still think there's an opportunity for almost everybody that wants to play college soccer to play. But you have to have a plan and you have to have some good guidance in this. Let's talk about scholarships. I talked about that briefly. Again, soccer scholarships are usually partial, if at all. Usually, if they are, I'd say partial. This could be a combination of academic and athletic money. Um, so, because soccer scholarships are usually partial, grades are really important. I have a player just that works with me. She just got an offer to play Division I soccer, 35% soccer scholarship. Okay, it's a pretty expensive school, but she also got 50% academic money. So she's actually getting 85% off. Right? But her grades were really good. She was 4.0 student, right? So grades matter. So parents, you might like me for that part. Grades do matter and they can help you maybe secure more scholarship, maybe get into a school that has opportunity for you. But don't just say, hey, I need a soccer scholarship. Look at the big picture and just find a place that's the best value on college for you that fits your needs. I've seen kids who've had better deals at really good Division III programs that don't offer athletic scholarships. They've had better financial offers than maybe a Division I, because maybe they were a walk-on at Division I, which means they weren't getting money. You got to know that college soccer is the enrollment business. What do I mean by that? It's a business, right? Don't mistake Division I soccer for football or basketball. Soccer is not a revenue sport. It's not bringing in money to the school by having tons of people at games and all that kind of stuff. Colleges need to make money. They can't give everyone full rides and stay in business. That's just not how it's going to work. So they need to make a certain amount per student for their budget, and so they can pay for everything. They can keep the lights on, if for lack of better words. Colleges want to make about 15 and 25,000 per student per year. This includes soccer, and it's basically for every sport except for football and basketball. Even at Division 1, people are paying, right? I just had a player get a Division 1 offer, um, and they were going to have to pay a lot of money to play Division 1. They chose to play at a Division 3 school because it was a lot less expensive. Decisions you have to make. Good options, but just understand where it's at. So, what are your chances? We'll just kind of cruise through this. There's 450,000 high school soccer players in the country, 40,000 college men's soccer players. This is the men's side. We'll talk about women's in a second. 13,000 Division 1 and Division 2 players. So 7% of high school players play college soccer. 2.8% of high school players play Division 1 or Division 2. That's a really low percent. All right. And then of those 13,000 playing Division 1 or 2, 4,000 are internationals. That's 30% of that 2.8. Right. And then 5,000, are potential transfers. So really 1,200 of, I'm sorry, 1,800 spots for American players, 18-year-old high school graduates across the country for Division 1, right? It's pretty low. Division 1, Division 2. So if you're not amongst the top 1,800 players in the country, there's still spots for you, but it's hard, and that's all I'm trying to tell you. Women's soccer, a little bit different, a little bit less, but and there's a few more Division 1 and Division 2 programs on the women's side. Like University of Iowa has women's, but not men's, right? But 10% of high school girls will play college soccer. 2.3% will play Division 1 or Division 2. There's less internationals at Division 1 or on the women's side. And there's typically less transferring on the women's side too. But most people think if you're good enough, coaches will find you. I think a little bit differently. I think most scholarship and most roster spots go to those that market themselves the best. People need to know about you. Players who wait for coaches to come to them seldom get scholarships or even end up playing in college. College coaches go to tournaments and showcases and events with a plan. Like when I was coaching college, I knew if I was going to this tournament, I was going to go watch kids play. I knew because I got emails from those kids. I knew at 8 a.m. on field 1, I had to go watch Billy. And then at halftime, I might leave and go watch another kid. And I did that all day. And I kind of listed out the kids that I needed to go see and that were potential good fits. And, I made a plan. So, and coaches have limited budget. They can't go to every tournament, every game. It costs them money, and soccer budgets aren't huge. So they go to events where they can get the most bang for their buck. That's why you see like certain ECNL and GA and things like that. There's a lot of college coaches at those events, but there's a lot of other events too. You have to know which ones are good events to get in front of. Camps, same thing. There's some camps that have one coach, and there's some camps that have 50 coaches. You can get in front of more. What's going to give you more bang for your buck? So are you getting in front of the right coaches, and do you have the right advocates? Do you have the right coaches that are able to reach out to people on your behalf, whether it's your club coach, your high school coach, your private trainer, your friends, the friend's dad who played college soccer. Those types of things are helpful. But having somebody in your corner that can really open doors, especially if you aren't on those platforms, it can make a huge difference. I work with a lot of kids that aren't on Play ECNL and aren't in GA, and they, maybe they do ODP, and maybe they don't, but we still find great opportunities because they're good players, but they have a good advocate in me in that regard. So does the platform matter, right? We just talked about that. Many people are saying you must be on a certain platform to go Division 1. There's a lot of factors there. All right. Personally, I'm a high school coach. I love high school soccer. I believe if you can dominate high school like you should, you can get there. All right. I do an Illinois All-Star Classic. I have a ton of kids that come in and play after their senior year of high school, and they get recruited by all these college coaches. I do some other camps too, but it's not just being on ECNL or GA. Does the platform you are on change your trajectory? Here's the thing, and this you really need to know this. For the most part, you are what you are. Just because you play for an MLS Next team or an ECNL team doesn't mean you're any better than you were when you played for your local club team. You know, I have a lot of kids that say, I'm going to go play for this ECNL team so I can go play Division One. Doesn't change who you are, right? I have kids that I work with that are playing Division One that never played ECNL, MLS Next, GA. All right, you are who you are. If you're good enough, you can get there. But if you're not good enough, you're still gonna. I have a lot of kids that also played MLS Next, who ended up playing for me at Loras College, and they thought that was going to help them go to Division One. They ended up playing Division Three. I see a ton of kids give up high school and other sports and travel, you know, so much and end up in the same place they would have ended up no matter what club they were on. Didn't matter if they were on, this certain level, the highest level, or they were playing with their local club or not playing. I have some kids I've worked with that don't play club at all because they play 4 sports, 5 sports in high school. Go for it. Dude, make yourself happy. I'm going to go back to that. And I want to reiterate this point. Don't give up the now. Don't give up high school and the now for what might be in the future. Unless you're going to be a elite level player. Don't give it up. Enjoy your time in high school because you may never get to that level of playing time again or enjoyment again playing the game. Most people think Division One's the best, then Division Two, then Division Three. There is a lot of overlap, right? There's also a division called NAIA. It's a different governing body, but it's called National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. There's some good soccer in there, but I think there's teams at Division Three that can beat Division One teams. There's Division Two teams that can beat Division One teams. I've seen a lot this year. Division Two teams beat Division One teams. I saw a Division One team tie a Division Three team last night. They do play up a little bit across levels, but the reality is there's a wide range of levels. I had kids that played for me at Loras College in Iowa where they easily could have played super high level Division One. They were overlooked for one reason or another. They found us to be a better fit. There were different reasons they chose us. Players that played professional after they were done. So, and we won a lot of games. So that is part of this whole process. There's 5 I call major mistakes, all right, in recruiting. Maybe more than that, but just want to quickly go through those in terms of what I'm going to change this. I got to make sure I add the sound here. Sorry. So just a quick video for you to watch. Take a look. Kind of sarcastic.
Are you going to play soccer in college?
Yeah. Probably D1.
That's cool. For who?
Either Clemson or Duke. Maybe North Carolina or UCLA.
Are those coaches at the game today?
I don't know. I haven't talked to them yet.
So how do you know you can play for them?
They have all sent me emails to come to their camp so they can get a better look at me. So they definitely want me.
That sounds stupid. Everyone gets those camp invites, and I hear coaches want tons of kids at their camps to help them make money for their staff and program.
The coaches' emails said they have been following my progress and the camp is how they can evaluate me further.
Sounds risky. Don't you know that most D1 coaches are relying on the transfer portal these days and are recruiting older, experienced players?
I'm not worried about it. My dad's buddy said I could play D1 for sure. I am going to fly to the UCLA camp next week.
You're a fool. Have they ever seen you play? Did you ever send them video?
No. I don't have any. My coach said he is going to work on it and send it out to some coaches for me.
That's stupid too. I have heard they get so much video sent to them. You might want to make sure there is real interest before you fly across the country for that camp.
I am not worried about it. I was all conference this year.
You're a fool. Don't you think most kids that want to play in college were all conference or even all state in high school? Do you have good grades?
I have a 2.5 and that is all I need to be eligible.
You are getting dumber the more I talk to you. What if you can't get into a college with that? What if a coach prefers student athletes with better grades?
But I am really good. My mom says so.
Your mom is stupid too. Don't you know that soccer scholarships are rare, even at D1, and good grades can help you get more scholarship money?
I am pretty sure I am going to get a full ride.
You are unbelievably dumb. Will you consider D2 or D3 schools?
I heard they suck. I am pretty sure I can play at any D2 or D3 school.
You suck. Do you know how hard it is to play D1 these days? With roster limits at D1 now, extra years of eligibility being granted, and coaches becoming more reliant on transfers and international players, it's becoming more and more difficult to play D1. Have you ever been to a D2 or D3 game?
Oh, they suck.
You suck.
Oh yeah, obviously it's sarcastic, right? But pretty funny. Something I put together a while back and changed it up as some things have changed. But kid did everything wrong, right? So let's talk about the mistakes that he's making, and we'll go from there. But first off, if you don't have a plan, there's negative consequences, right? You need to have a recruiting plan. You need to know, what you're doing in this process and kind of have goals on it. What's the consequences if you don't have a plan? Not attending a college you should have gone to and played at. All right, if you're maybe the roster is full because you missed deadlines and you can't get in, or it's too late to get recruited by him, or you attend a college that is not the right fit just because you wanted to play. Right? Hey, I the highest level I can play at is this, but it didn't have my major. Right? There's negative consequences. Another negative consequence to not having a plan is not playing at all. You don't find the right fit, or you didn't get recruited because you didn't have a plan. Another one is a big one. I deal with this one a lot. Is the inability to afford colleges you desire. All right, everybody wants to go to some brand name schools. Well, some of them have no merit aid or no scholarships for academics, or you don't want to come out of this with crushing debt or delayed retirement for parents or anything like that. You need to find a school that's affordable. I always say there's 4 priorities in this process, and every family is different. The academic priority, does it fit you academically? Is it soccer? What's the soccer level? Does it fit me there? Is the financial situation right? And then is their social situation good? And then general unhappiness with the whole process. I see a lot of people who, they go into this without a plan and they're really like super frustrated by the process. So a lot of kids target the wrong schools. You got to be honest with yourself and don't target schools that aren't good fits. Athletically, everybody wants to play Division 1 and the highest level, but many prospects overshoot in this process. They think they're Division 1 when they're not quite that level. Right? It happens all the time. I hear it from parents. I hear it from kids. Why aren't I a Division 1 player? And I have to tell them, this is what they're looking for. You're not quite there. For instance, I talked to not everybody is this way, but I talked to one Division 1 women's coach recently, and they told me that they only recruit players that can run a 3.0 or faster 20-yard dash. That's pretty fast. That's not a time that most people know about. Soccer coaches do because a 20 is kind of a burst. If you don't run a 20 or a 3.0 for the 20, that coach doesn't recruit those players. Just that's his thing. So just understand those things. Many kids overshoot in the process. Cast a wide net. We're going to talk about that momentarily. Cast a wide net. Reach out to schools of all levels. My teams at Loras, when we were rolling, there was a 10-year period where we were top 5 in the country every year, Final Fours, national championship games, things like that. We could beat Division 1 teams. We did beat Division 1 teams. Academically, schools that are above your academic rigor. You may not get accepted, and even if you do, you may not get the right merit awards. So let's use Harvard as an example. Everyone knows Harvard. Top academic school, obviously, really hard to get into. But a lot of kids are like, oh, I want to go to Harvard. Well, of course you do. Like, who wouldn't? All right, it sets you up for some major things maybe down the road. But one thing about Harvard is they give no academic money. They give no athletic. If you go to Harvard, you either pay the full freight of $100,000 a year, or you're getting a ton of financial aid. And then you got to know high academic profile schools have really early timetables. Like if you want to go to those types of schools, you probably have to apply by January at the latest, sometimes earlier than that if it's like an early decision situation, which is a higher level thing to understand. But financially, target schools that are going to be out of their price range. I see kids like, hey, I want to go to this school. Well, have you looked at what that's going to cost to go to that type of school? So you got to understand your family's unique college affordability and planning opportunities. One of the things I help families with is making sure, hey, they understand how much that school is going to cost. What's your SAI? It's SAI is like what the financial aid forms say you can afford to go to college. And then each school has financial aid estimators on their website. So you can go to their website, type in some tax information, and they will tell you how much it's going to cost you to go there without soccer scholarships, obviously. But you can find out a little bit more about how you fit financially at different colleges, and that can help you get a good start in this process. And then the experience. What's the overall experience? Is it a winning team? What's the area like? Is it the right fit for you? A lot of kids contact too few of schools. You've heard you need to apply to, when I was a kid, it was dream school, backup school, safety school. You had three, you applied to three places. But that's only for non-athletes. If you want to play in college, you need to go where you're recruited. I think, get a lot of schools interested, cast a wide net, diversify your options. Schools from different divisions, different academic rigors, different scholarshiping, public, private. Let's see who shows some interest, and let's look at that unique affordability plan that you have for your family, and let's kind of see what could be good fits out of those schools. Those are things that could be helpful. Prospects that contact coaches from a wide variety of levels have a lot better results. And very often they find their dream school might be a place they never heard of. You got to go where you're wanted and make your best fit. Like you make your best fit. What you do while you're in college, like I said earlier, makes your best fit. A lot of kids have a false sense of security. Hey, a lot of awards and accolades does not mean you'll get recruited, because just because you were named all conference or all state doesn't mean a coach is going to recruit. Doesn't mean you're a Division I level recruit or anything like that. College coaches are the ones that decide if you're recruitable for their program. Nobody else. Every coach is looking for something different. Camp invites, emails, and those types of things don't mean anything unless they are personal. Just understand that. Like you're going to get a ton of camp invites just because you're on probably just because your name's in the cloud somewhere. You're going to get a ton of camp invites. You don't need to go to those. I don't love camps. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I probably wouldn't go unless it was really personal and not just a mass email personal, like with your first name on it. Like, hey, tell me something specific about what you liked about my game, why you want me at your camp, and those types of things. And then if you really want to get to know if a coach is interested in you off of an email invite, say, hey, coach, thanks for your interest in me coming to your camp. I'd love to jump on a call and learn more about your school and your program. And if they get back to you and they do that, spend 20 minutes with you on the phone, then there might be some real value in going to their camp. Like I said, college coaches go to showcase tournaments and combines with a plan. Be a part of their plan. Get your name out there. And then I like this one. Our local regional college is interested in you. Coaches know their own backyard best, right? Coaches, I knew if anybody in Dubuque, and I knew if anyone probably in the radius from, 3-hour radius was interested in who I was interested in. I knew the kids in Dubuque that were good enough to play for me, right? I was going to seek them out, obviously. But I leave it this way. If you live in Des Moines and Drake's not interested in you, why do you think Clemson's going to be interested in you from South Carolina? Like, doesn't quite work that way, right? If Drake's interested in you, okay, then maybe Clemson would be too. But if Drake's not interested, why would a top 10 Division I program be interested? Like, there's some things there that you need to know. I always think if you really want to know your level of play, club coaches, high school coaches might be able to give you somewhat of a level of play understanding. one of the things I do is tell people what level of play they can be at. But ask a local college coach if they'll come watch you play, and pay them $100 to come out and um, evaluate your level of play. It's a real thing. They might be able to tell you, hey, yeah, you're a Division I kid, you're a Division II, you're probably a Division III kid. Get some honest understanding of where you fit in that realm of things. Timing is everything. Every program has different timing and timelines. You do get on radars. I'm going to say this a little bit differently. Girls and boys timing is a little bit different. All right. Girls, freshman and sophomore, and even some of junior year, they're getting evaluated. But typically, most girls are done with the recruiting process before senior year even starts. If not, a lot of them are done before junior year even starts, which is crazy, right? Boys are a lot later. A lot of boys, college coaches aren't ready to jump off the cliff for boys because they're waiting to see if you're going to grow into, you're going to add 20 pounds of muscle or what's going to happen with you physically. Plus, the transfer portal is a lot bigger deal on the boys' side. So on the boys' side, it's more junior and senior year. On the girls' side, it's more sophomore and junior year. But if you are a senior, it's not too late. It can happen. I've worked with kids that second semester, senior year, we got to work on this and made things happen. Because there are coaches still looking for players at those times because of one reason or another. So just understand that. Expect your coach or club to help you. The ability of your coaches, high school, club, it varies. You can't expect them to help you. It's not their job. All right, they do have busy lives, and they often don't have all the connections and resources, and have a lot of other things going on. But ask your coach what their comfort level is and if they're willing to help you. Always ask. The more advocates you can get, the better you're going to be in this situation. ID camps and showcases. You're going to see a lot of these. I don't love every ID camp. Actually, there's some that I despise because I think they're just money grabs. There's other ones that I think are really important if you want to go to certain schools or if you want to go far from home. You probably have to go to ID camps in those regions or at the schools in those areas that you want to be at because they need to see you play. You're not going to be in events where they might see you play. And again, it's easier to recruit your own backyard, so they really need to know you're super interested. But our camp's worth it. I do a worksheet. I have some things that I help people with. I always say, look at low return on investment. What I mean by or high return on investment doesn't cost much. You don't have to fly across the country. You don't have to stay overnight in hotels. Those types of things. Look at those options first, and then expand that based on what you're looking for. Um, and if you have the resource to do that, but you can spend a ton of money on camps, and not a whole lot happens from it. And it depends what level of uh, what kind of club you're with and if they're on different platforms. Maybe you get found in a platform because you're able to play in front of a lot of college coaches at tournaments. Maybe you don't need as many camps. Maybe you're not on those platforms and you need more camps. Everyone's a little bit different. And then you have to maximize those opportunities. You got to do the right things when you're there. You can't hide in the corner. You got to go introduce yourself. You got to stand out. And you got to know which camps are good camps and which camps are potentially money grabs. You need good video, and you need consistently updated video, like a new video after each season, to share with a coach, to show your progress, to show what you're doing. Maybe you play multiple positions. Maybe you play one position for your club, a different position for ODP, another position for high school. Maybe you want to show videos of you doing a different video for each, so you can show your versatility on the field and those types of things. Those are important factors too. But it's got to be a good video. You got to be able to circle and highlight who you are. You got to show what those positions you play do and how you do that well. Those are important things because when a coach is going to watch a video, they're going to turn it on. They have a member of their staff who kind of filters videos and maybe an assistant coach, and they watch pretty much every video that comes through, and they watch for 20, 30 seconds. They'll watch the first 3, 4 clips, and if it's good, they'll watch the whole thing, and then they might hand it off to the head coach. If it's not quite what they're looking for, they'll probably just move on, and they won't even respond to your email. So, but it is important to have good video. I've had kids that have been recruited solely on video. They've had such good video. highlight videos. They've also had good full game videos, which I think is important because a coach might ask you, hey, can't get out and see you play at a game, but do you have a good full game video? Highlights are highlights. They do show just the best stuff. So we want to be able to show, maybe a full game video that's really good. Some other advice: be in shape when you go to events, camps, showcases, tournaments. Fitness is a real thing. Coaches are looking for that. Be a positive life force. Don't have negative body language. Don't be yelling at your teammates, things like that. Don't give a coach a reason to not recruit you. Same with parents. Parents, be sane on the sidelines. Don't be yelling at referees, because if a college coach happens to be there, they figure out that you're the one that's yelling at referees, they're probably not going to recruit you, your kid, because they don't want to deal with that. There's a fine line between the right amount of contact and being annoying. I always say, reach out to a coach when you have something to say. Hey, coach, I got a new video. I want you to check it out. Hey, coach, I'm playing at this tournament. Come watch me play. Here's my schedule. Those things are important. Emailing is the way to reach out to them. Coaches want it that way. They do want it that way because they want to not have to respond if they're not interested. I mean, that's just a thing. Don't feel bad about not getting a response from a coach. It happens. And you got to keep after it. I say try 4 times before you give up on a coach. But always write something different. Write emails from a computer, not a phone. I know people are used to doing it on a phone, but you can screw up too often. Have voicemail, because coaches do leave messages. Check emails every day, and then respond to coaches within 24 hours. Because if you respond quick, just like in business, you move up the list. If you wait 3 days, other kids, they're not just recruiting you. Other kids are getting back to coaches, and they're moving ahead of you on the list because you're not responding. So what should you be doing? Everyone's timeline is different. You need to cast a wide net. What I mean by everyone's timeline is different is everyone's ready to do this at different times. But you don't want to get passed by different schools because you waited too long. Cast a wide net, reach out to a ton of schools, different levels, different things that matter to you. Send emails to a wide variety of levels. I just mentioned that. Email coaches before events with your schedule and when you have something important to say. When your team is in an area, if you're going to a tournament in Kansas City, or we're going to Arizona for ODP or Memphis, reach out to coaches in those areas and tell them you're going to be there. Plus, they usually have a list of coaches who are attending. I don't always trust those lists. Not every coach signs up for those. Some coaches want to be a little incognito. Other coaches just sign up for those to get camp lists and don't really even attend. So that's not always real. So I would say just target the schools in those areas. I'm going to Kansas City. I'm going to reach out to Rockhurst, which is Division II, UMKC, which is Division I, Baker, which is NAIA, and a bunch of other places too. I just throw those names out there. Understand the difference between camp invites and being recruited. A camp invite is not being recruited. Understand that. I don't care how personal it looks. Some coaches are really good at making it look personal, and they are just trying to make some money for their program and their assistant coaches and their staff. And lastly, social media is a waste of time. It totally is. You do not need to post your videos on social media. You do not need to make a graphic that says you're attending this tournament. Complete waste of time. Coaches don't care. They recruit kids who can play. They do not care. They're not checking social media. I promise. The only reason they have social media is to market their programs. Are you good enough to play in college? I think there's probably a spot for almost everybody. What level is best for you? That varies obviously on how good you are, but what else are you looking for in a program in a college? How do I develop a relationship with a college coach of a program I'm really interested in? You got to be personal. You got to try to reach out to them. You got to take opportunities. If you see them and you can go say hi to them at a camp, do it. And always ask, what's next for me? What is the next steps to be considered a prospect for your program? Coaches will respond to that. Hey, next step is you need to get us your schedule for your next event. It will try to come out. The next step is maybe come to our camp, and here's why. Ask the coaches. They'll tell you what's up. But that's a short and sweet 40 minutes, and I probably talked a little too long. If there's questions, put them in the Q&A or the chat. If you want to talk to me in private, you can reach out to me. Um, you know, email, phone number right there. Feel free to reach out or catch me at an event, things like that. Whether it's now or in the future. If you want to set up a personal meeting with me where I can talk to you more about your individual situation, find out more about your spot, how you're doing in this process, what you need to be doing, and tell you how I work, I'm happy to do that as well. Um, Otherwise, I'll open this up for questions and wait around a few minutes. And then I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. And if you need to get going, understand. Otherwise, I'll hang around. So any questions, put them in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll respond to them right here. Like I said, I'll wait around a minute or two. I am recording this too, so I'll send it out. Make sure you get the right information. I don't see much coming through, so I appreciate your time. Again, if there are personal questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out. Oh, here's one. For girls, at what age should you start reaching out to coaches since they recruit sooner? I think freshman year is good. I wouldn't go any earlier than that. But I think freshman year they're going to start watching at showcases and events, especially maybe after the fall of freshman year. So after the college season is over, I think it's probably that winter into spring time. Obviously, high school season in Iowa is in the spring. They're not going to see a ton of high school games, but winter and spring, and then the summer, freshman year is probably fine. Um, that's a good question. You're not too late if it's sophomore year either. I honestly don't think you're too late if it's sophomore year as well. Some people don't want to think about this freshman year. I got a freshman daughter. She's not thinking about recruiting and getting her name out in front of college coaches, and I don't think she needs to. If she does sophomore year and she decides that's the direction she wants to go, she'll be fine. Not all schools. It's only the top Division I schools that are probably going down the road sophomore year. If you're not going to be a Division I player, you can probably do sophomore or junior year even. I have a girl right now that's a senior and she started with me. She wasn't getting the traction she wanted, and she was kind of doing it on, and definitely we got a lot of traction for her in a short amount of time, and she's getting recruited by a lot of Division II schools right now. So boys' timeline is later. I don't think you need to reach out as a boy. Gosh, until late sophomore year, maybe going into junior year. I just coaches aren't paying attention to boys until that point. There's so much can happen with a boy physically, where girls are pretty much matured by the time they're sophomore year. Um, Boys physically could grow a ton in the next couple years after that. So that's why, to be honest with you. Um, how would you advertise? How would you go about advertising yourself if you go to a small, like 1A high school with a new developing soccer program? We are 2 hours from any club, big clubs. That's a good question. Have really good video, and I think it's important to have video against some of the better teams you play against. It's hard to so like 1A, no offense, but there's some bad teams in 1A. And I've worked with 1A kids and they've done really well and they've gotten great opportunities. But you gotta have good video. And it's hard to get to big clubs and things like that. And then when you do get stuff, if you're doing ODP, like use the ODP to your advantage. Guest play, maybe we need to find a guest play opportunity for you to play with a club that goes to some of these showcase or events. There's a lot of guest playing opportunities at some of these showcases where you can get on a team that's going there, and the team, not every other team can make that showcase, so they need a couple players. That happens a lot. I've worked with a lot of players to help them get guest play opportunities, so they don't have to really practice with the team and be at the club practices. sometimes they get picked up from teams from all over the country, and they just go play the tournament with them and the showcase, and they get in front of a lot of college coaches. That's another way to do it. Camps would be a way for that player to get in front of coaches, but having some good video, and the good video would not only help you with college coaches, but it might help you get a spot as a guest player. Hey, because they want to see what kind of player you are before you go sign up. So it's like, hey, coach, I'm looking for a spot as a guest player. Or you contact a tournament to tell them, hey, if you have any guest player opportunities, here's my bio. And some of these showcases have like guest player registries where you can sign up and do, if a team needs a player, they look at the videos and they decide from there. That's just one way. But I think that's certainly helpful. Where do you get the most exposure, playing club or at high school? I would say it's probably club, right? Like that's the reality of it is the club showcases there's more bang for your buck, right? So as a college coach, I can go to a club showcase and see 50 teams. If I go to a high school tournament, I can see 8 teams, or I can see if I go to a high school game, I see 2 teams. I've seen less players. But there are some coaches that still love high school and they still go to games, and I'm not going to downplay that the high school exposure is still there, but club is certainly um, coaches utilize club because there's more chances to see more kids on a given day. You go to a big showcase tournament and there's 50 teams, college coaches are going to be all over those things because they can see so many kids in one day. I work with some Illinois kids too, and like they have a high school tournament in Chicago that has 120 teams. They played a huge showcase for like 3 weekends in a row. College coaches love that event. And it's a high school event, but it's kind of looks like a club event. So just coaches are going to go where there's more kids. That's the reality of it. They're going to go where there's more kids to see, so they can make sure they can get. Coaches are looking under every rock to find players. I'm being honest. They're going to look under but they can look under more rocks quicker at big showcase events. Does that make some sense? Those are good questions. If anything comes up or you want to talk personally, sign up for a meeting with me or send me an email. On my email response, I'll send a follow up to this, and it'll have a way to set up a meeting with me if you wanted to do that or more information. But I'll be at ODP events and things like that too, and be able to evaluate play and things like that if you wanted to chat, want me to do some of that stuff as well. So, all right, thank you. Have a great night.